Good morning. It's Saturday, May 24th, and President Trump had a sweeping tax and spending cuts package pass the House the other day. But it's not over yet because it has to pass the Senate. And it's running into some real resistance from his own party in the Senate. The Senate Majority Leader John Thune does not agree with the big tax deduction win it gives the New York House Republicans. And Senator Lisa Murkowski railed against the bill's work requirements for Medicaid. I myself agree with that. There should be a work requirement if you can get Medicaid. Not everybody. If you can't work, you can't work. But if you can't work, why shouldn't you work? Why should you get a free ride on Medicaid? I'm not against that. And Senator Josh Hawley wants a bigger tax credit for children. Well, that's up in the air. I could agree with that. And Senator Rand Paul has vowed to oppose the bill because it raises the debt limit. And I agree with him. The debt limit should be lowered and there should be more in there to pay our debt off. And there are fiscal hawks who want bigger cuts to federal spending. And I would agree with a lot of that too if I knew exactly which parts they're talking about. But there's certain things that we need to spend money on, so I can't agree with everything. One of the Republicans said, if you want to go to Disney World, you got to have the money to pay it. On the other side of the aisle, Democrats are slamming their rivals for slashing federal spending for safety net programs like Medicaid and food stamps. So Medicaid is a hot button in this sweeping tax and spending cuts bill that the Republicans are rushing to pass as soon as this week. And Democrats are slamming Republicans for slashing federal support for the safety net program, while President Donald Trump and the GOP lawmakers say they are not cutting the program, or at least not for Americans. So what does that mean? Not for vulnerable Americans. Who decides who's a vulnerable American? When you put something like that into the bill, you are picking on people and you are allowing others to make decisions that cannot be really substantiated. So they are looking, the Republicans are looking to root out waste and fraud and abuse. And I am sure there is some waste, and I'm sure there's some fraud, and I'm sure there's abuse too. But is it of any magnitude? And can you be the greatest person in the world and stop all of those things? No, because there are many who are clever out there and who will find a way to abuse the system. And I can tell you that you cannot find every angle that somebody is liable to come up with, because there are many people out there who are very smart and love to cheat. So you cannot stop the abuse that you claim is going on. And I don't think there's been that much abuse. The president told reporters, we are not doing any cutting of anything meaningful. But that's his interpretation of meaningful. If you ask anybody else, they will have a different interpretation of what meaningful is. The only thing we're cutting is waste, fraud, and abuse. That's what we're after in Medicaid. Waste, fraud, and abuse. There's tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse. That's what the president is claiming. And I don't believe that for 1 minute. But I will say that there are many, many public programs that are put out there that are not properly thought through, and that there can be loopholes. And believe me, if there's a loophole, people will find it. Those who are looking for loopholes are very smart. So you have to write something that's perfect. And that's impossible. So the GOP proposed changes to Medicare would save nearly $700 billion over a decade. But is that really a saving? Is that really going to help people? No, it's probably going to harm them. We need to put something in place to protect those people, and we need to protect the money that are being dished out under these programs, so we can have fewer people on the program. That's what they want to do, reduce the people who want to get on the program. And you can only do that by having a series of absolute rules for people to follow. And there can be no absolute rules when you're judging the health of people and things like that. And I'm in favor of people having to work while they're collecting some of these benefits. If you're healthy and you can work, you shouldn't be on the dole. So provisions could still change before they are voted on by the full chamber. And it's likely the work requirement proposal would kick in earlier than 2029, as currently specified by the bill. I think the work requirement should kick in immediately. Who's to say that? Anyhow, they're expected to add the number of people who would be left uninsured. And Senate Republicans are likely to make additional changes even after the House passes its version. So we're not over with this battle yet. And let's take a look at what the Democrats think. And the Democrats said this is the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. 14 million Americans would be ripped off their health insurance under this bill. That's what Chuck Schumer said. So the Republicans don't like everything and the Democrats don't like a lot of it. And we'll have to see how it goes. And so I leave you with that. Try and have a good day. But our health insurance is at stake here, and I am sure that a large percentage of people will be screwed if this thing is passed the way the Republicans want it passed. Have a great day. Bye.